Hello and welcome back to a new video. This week we're going to be looking at this matrix technique I used in the Cyber Clothing January sale post. I'm going to be creating a bit more of a basic version of this, but just showing you the technique of how to set it up. So this was the version that I created for the tutorial. I think I might have used different text during the tutorial, but this is the final outcome I decided to go with. So let's jump in. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Marcus Gonza at 3D Bonfire, as he's already done a tutorial using this kind of effect. His version is definitely more advanced and cooler than mine, so out of respect for him, I won't be making this as complex as his. I'm not trying to steal his ideas. I would highly recommend going to check him out if you don't already know him. Some great content there you can use to improve your cinema skills. Okay, first thing we want to do is drop in a Matric Scatter over here, and we just want to create loads of cubes, like a long plane of cubes. And rather than just making loads and having to zoom out, because this is kind of the shot I created in my graphic. So if I'm in the camera mode, I'm gonna jump into that. If you haven't got one, just drop in a camera, and we're gonna turn the focal length up to, let's go like 150. I want it to be quite flat. And then I'm going to use this tool and just move out, and this is a pretty good shot. Maybe angle it a little better, yeah, something like this. Now instead of zooming out loads, because we're going to really want the cubes to be dense, what we could do is make the size of them a bit smaller. So let's go 3, change the size here to 3.25, and then do the same for the rest of them. So I'm just going to copy and paste into each of these, and yeah, this is very dense. Maybe let's just increase it and see how this looks. So we're gonna, yeah, this is a lot, so maybe we could up them a little bit, because it's going to make it's going to be a little heavy on the PC. So I'm going to up the draw size to maybe, let's go 4.5. And then let's change these to 4. Let's try 5 first, actually. Let's go 5, 5, and 5. This looks, yeah, this should be fine. We can always change it, it doesn't really matter. And yeah, let's just make sure we're filling up the frame. Something like here. Yeah, I reckon we probably don't even need it to be this. You could, if you want, if your PC can't handle it, you could always just up this a little bit more. I think that'll be fine. This is quite dense. So first I'm going to show you how to set up the text, and have the text kind of like raised with these cubes. So let's come out of our camera mode. Let's make sure we keep our camera how it is. We've got the shot set up, and let's bring in some text. So I'm going to go text, drop that in, and let's rotate this so that it's this way, and then let's put it down flat. Let's make sure it's 90 degrees, and we'll just bring it back up. And let's also just set the alignment to middle, and then we can just put some text here. I will literally put text here, and maybe just change the font. I'll just go for, yeah, let's go for one of these. But yeah, you put whatever you want here, maybe not extra bold. Just go semi-bold. Okay, and I'm going to make it, let's go into our camera and just check how this looks. Yeah, I'm going to bring it up, kind of want it to be around here. This is good. Maybe change the vertical spacing, bring it a little closer. Okay, so we're going to drop in a plane, but let's make sure we've got the matrix selected. We'll drop in the plane, bring that just below here, and let's change the Y. You can see this is moving up all our cubes already. So let's go for 15. But now what we're going to do is kind of create like a mask with our text, which will only raise those cubes that are in that kind of volume of the text. So let's go to our fields, and let's drop in our text into the fields, and we'll set it as a point object. Now if we select our text, go to volume, and what we can do is actually hide our text. So hold Alt and double click the traffic lights. Now you can see our cubes are raised where the text was. So we could actually adjust this. Maybe it doesn't need to be as high as that. Could lower this so it kind of just sits above Now it's kind of hard to tell the difference, so let's also set up the color. So let's add in another plane which is going to act as our base color. So let's select the matrix again, add in another plane, and we can rename this one to color. And we don't want any transformation, so we can turn that off, and we can change the color. Let's just do custom color for now, and I'm going to set it to a blue. Maybe not too saturated. Something like this could do. So that's our base color. Make sure, maybe even just set that as base color, just in case we add any additional ones on top. But for our mask that we've just created, so we could rename this one to text mask maybe. Oh, make sure that's not capitalized. And we could just change the color in here. So we could either do fields color, or we could just change this to custom color. So I've changed that to custom color, but you can see it hasn't made a change. So we need to go back into our matrix, go to the effectors, and we need to change the order that these are in. So you want to make sure your base color is at the top, because it's kind of executing in this hierarchy. So the base color got set, and then the text mask got set. So now we can see our text stands out a lot better now. So I could even check out how it looks. I haven't actually got a light set up, and also another issue is that we haven't got the cube set up. So right now, these are all just points, they're not actually cubes. So if we come back out of here, and even though we've been setting our size, it seems like we've actually got cube set up, but we actually need to set an instance object. So what we can do is drop in a cube, and remember that size that we set here, you need to make sure it's the exact same. Otherwise it's going to look a bit different in the viewport compared to the render. So we want to copy this number, and we'll go to our cube, and we'll set the size for X to the same, the Y the same, Z the same. Now with that Redshift tag, we'll change the mode to custom object, hit the eyedropper, and we'll select the cube. So now, we now go into the render mode. You can see now our cubes are all there. So could maybe just set up a light quickly. Let's stop the IPR. And then I always like to do this in my tutorials, but I'm going to grab a light and add can't get it selected, animation, target tracker, and let's eyedrop the light tracker, which is in the center of my scene. So now when I move the light, it will always point towards the center. I'm going to move it out here. I'm going to turn the spread down, maybe lift it up a bit. Let's actually just see how it looks first. Go in here, start IPR. Right, yeah, this is really bright, so I might up the spread a little bit more and then just turn down the exposure. Could even make it really strong. And then maybe just add in a world light. So let's quickly just reorganize this, drop the light in here, add in a dome light. Doesn't need to be a child. Oh, and you can see I've got a gap here, so I need to increase. Yeah, there we go. So I think the light is still a little bit too bright. Right. Turn that down a little bit, maybe even up the spread, and maybe just move it back actually, because I think it's, yeah, it just needs to be back a little bit. Maybe even make it wider, which is also going to make it a little bit stronger, so I could turn that down even more. Yeah, this looks nice, this looks good enough. Alright, so we've got our text set up, so whatever we have now in our text, it will just update. So I'll just change that to update. And yeah, so whatever we put in there, it's going to change. So I'm going to just keep it as text here for now. Now to create that kind of digital waving, where like the cubes will kind of just digitizing, like moving up and down or like in waves, I'm going to set up that now. So I'm going to reorganize this so that our effectors are together. Maybe I'll drop in a null and rename this. Drop these in here. But let's add in another one. So we'll select our matrix again, or drop in another plane. I'm going to keep it in here, and you can see it's already changed the color because that's now in the hierarchy been put to the bottom, but we don't want any color coming from this one. So what we can do is in the parameters color, we can just turn this off. Now then, we also don't want everything being lifted up, so let's just change this to free. We could go to fields, and yeah, so this one I'm going to do first. We're going to just use a shader field. We'll drop in a noise, and yeah, you can already see some of it starting to displace. So we can mess around with this number, but first I want to turn the contrast pretty much all the way up, but leave a little bit so that it doesn't, it's not just a sharp cut off, unless that's the look you want, but I kind of like just a slight kind of blending. So also we need to turn up the low clip so that it's not just everything, it's kind of a little bit more, a little less going on, that's kind of what I'm going for. And then just adjust your global scale until you're happy. I don't want it everywhere, kind of just, yeah, it's like in patches. And now if I was to turn the animation speed, maybe we could go to, let's go 1.5, and then we can also just set the loop period. So if I'm 24 frames a second, so how this works, this loop period, if you set this to 2, every 2 seconds it's going to loop the noise pattern that's animating. So if you actually want the whole clip to loop seamlessly, you need to make sure that this is in line. So mine's 24 frames a second, so mine would be 24, 48, 72. So mine would loop every 3 seconds. So I could up this to 3. So I hit play, and this should just be looping seamlessly, yeah. So you could always just mess around with the animation speed. Maybe you want to up it, or maybe I'll keep it at 2, which is quite nice. Now the other, another digital kind of effect that was the kind of a waving that was kind of going up the page. This, unfortunately, I don't think can be looped because it's using these parameters here, and there's nothing here about looping. So as far as I'm aware, you can't get that to loop. So the way it's set up, we can select our matrix again, drop in another one. We also want to turn the color off again because we don't want that to affect it. Let's change this to 5, and yeah, we want to turn the color off, don't we? Yeah, so turn that off, go to fields, drop in another shader field, go shader, noise, and then let's turn the contrast up a little bit, maybe 70. Low clip, we'll turn that up as well. Now we want to change this relative scale because we want to kind of stretch it so that they're in almost like lines. So we need to change this relative scale here, I think. Yeah, I'm going to turn this all the way down. Let's try 5, and then maybe turn the scale up. Yeah, so we bring the scale up. It's kind of hard to see in the viewport. I don't know if it'll be any easier. No, it's not really, but let me just come out of my camera so it's a little easier to see. But you can see we're creating these lines that we can get to animate moving upwards. So it kind of just looks like they're all leading towards somewhere, kind of like inside of a computer or something. So to get that working, we can change this movement. So we can set this maybe to 2, maybe set this to 2 as well. Oh, this is quite fast. Let's turn this down. Okay, so this is going, let's go back into here. So maybe, so what way is this going? Let's see. Oh, so this is going from left. Okay, that's going from right to left, okay. So maybe it's not this one, maybe let's change this one. Yes, this is going up the page. So yeah, okay, this is already looking quite nice. We can always mess around with the speed if you want it going faster. But yeah, this is already looking quite nice. Now in my example, in my piece that I made, the waving effects and all the stuff like the digital stuff wasn't actually happening on the text, so I created a mask with that. So let's go into that plane effector, and what we want to do is drop in that text. Let's drop it above this shader field as a point object, change it to volume, and right now it's kind of just stopped the effect from happening altogether. So we need to change the blending mode to subtract, I believe. Yeah, so this is now ignoring it. It's still doing the first digital effect we set up. So if we want to get rid of that as well, let's go back into here, do the same thing, drop in the text above it, point object, change its mode to volume, and then change the blending mode to subtract. So now our text is being untouched by these effects, and will sit in place. Because sometimes if there's too many effects going on, it might actually change or just make it difficult to read what's going on. But maybe you want the text to be animating. That's completely up to you. I'm going to drop in my a render view just so we can see a bit more clearly how this is looking. Okay, so let's hit progressive rendering, see how this looks. Yeah, so this is a lot clearer to see now, the lines. It won't, it's not going to update that rapidly, but so I think I might turn up the global scale on this wave effect. Fields, shader, let's go into here, and then just increase. I might need to just refresh manually. Yeah, this is looking a bit nicer, maybe a bit more. Yeah, I quite like this. This is cool. And yeah, you can create lots of different little digital effects on the cubes. It's quite a cool and easy thing to set up. So like for example, we could create another plane field. Let's just drop that in, select our matrix, drop that in. Again, turn off the color, and turn this maybe like to 10, because there's going to be a bit more of a jump in this one. So for this one, we go into fields. Let's drop in a spherical field. This is going to use a formula to create like a wave from the center of this spherical field. So we can drop in formula. Now, yeah, it's making everything bounce, so I need it to just happen inside this field, which I need to remember what way it's set up. I think it might be, yeah, like this. So now it's just inside this field, and we can adjust exactly where it's coming from. So like we could have right in the center, and then also we can play around with how high these cubes are going to be jumping. So yeah, we could have it really exaggerated, and like we could adjust the speed if you don't want it to be going too quickly. So maybe let's go for like 40, but then we also want to slow this down. So let's go back into fields, formula, and then we just want to change these numbers. And then again, I mean, if you want, you can set up the like this extra formula field that I've got set up. You could make that change color as well. So you could always do field color. But yeah, this could change the color. You could go into color map and just pick a different color if you want. So now, when we go into progressive rendering, you can see this is changing the color exactly where we've got this field set up. So you could do loads of stuff with this. Now I'm going to quickly now touch on how I got the text to kind of just like disappear and then come up with something else. So what I'm going to do is, let's make this view a bit smaller. And in our text mask, what we could do is we could add in a shader field, and let's set it to noise. I think this might be what I did. Let's set the contrast quite high. And then I think just set this to subtract, and then yeah, let's just up the global scale so we can kind of actually see an effect going on. Contrast really needs to be pretty high for this to look good. I mean, something like this isn't too bad. And then what I did was play with the low and high clip maybe, or even, yeah, like you could just do it with the brightness. So let's say you had your text and let's like play maybe at 24 frames. We hit keyframe on the brightness, we go forward to 42 and turn it down, hit a keyframe there, and in this period of time, if we just go to our text, why have I got another one? Not sure why I have another one, I'll delete that. Make sure the original one's still there, yeah, that's still there, okay. So with that text selected, we could even keyframe here the text that we have, and then just go forward a frame and change it to new, go all caps, new text, and then keyframe that. So now when we can just go back into here and keyframe the brightness and just bring it back in with the new text. So then we go back into my camera, and it will disappear and bring in some new text. So that happened really quickly, and you could make it look a little bit better by animating the noise that's actually masking out the text. So we could just turn up the animation speed, maybe go to like 2. It doesn't really matter about the loop period, actually, that doesn't need to be on. Yeah, so you can see it's like kind of, maybe so you can actually see that effect taking place a little better, or up the time taken, maybe even just up the entire project length. So let's go to 120. So I'm going to drag these keyframes and make it a little bit longer so that we can actually see what's happening. Bring that down a little bit. Yes, I mean that looks a lot better. I can up that animation speed even more, just so we can hopefully see a bit more. Yeah, you could see it all kind of like warping around. Now we could do some more interesting stuff with the colors and the materials of the cubes. What we could do is add in a material, and in this graph we double click and search for color user data, and we'll drop that in. And let's go to preset, MoGraph, color, and then hook this up to the color. And then all we need to do is then drop this material onto our cube that's being instanced. So now we can hit render mode, and it still pretty much looks the same, but now whenever we make changes in here, it's kind of just taking those filled colors and applying them onto whatever we have set up in here. So let's say I made it like a bit more metal, and like reflective. You can see it's changing, like down here this is really changing, but yeah, of course there's a lot of cubes in this scene now, so if you make something really reflective or transparent, it might get a little heavy. I mean, I could try to turn it up, and I mean it's not even making too much difference. My PC fans are now getting a lot stronger, but yeah, so now it's just like little glass cubes. It feels a bit pointless to do that, so I'll turn that back to normal. We could also use these effectors to drive some different colors, so we could create a noise. Let's drop in another plane, make sure that's added to this list. Probably should have renamed these, but it's not too big of a deal. We don't want this to do any transformation. We'll do fields, go into fields, shader, field, drop in another noise. Now we can select our colors. We'll go for like maybe a darker blue, and then also a lighter blue. We'll refresh this and let's see, is it actually doing anything? It wasn't working because you need to make sure this is selected. So this actually tells Cinema 4D that you want the shader, the field to take its color data, not just its like parameters. So select that and then refresh, and now you can see it's applied it. So I don't want the contrast to be as strong, so I'm going to turn that down, but unfortunately I need to keep refreshing because it doesn't do it automatically. Looks like I want to turn this global scale up a lot as well. Lower that, refresh. yeah, this is quite nice. I've just noticed the text is now not white, so we need to change the order of these effectors. So on our text mask, let's make sure that's at the bottom. There we go. So yeah, this is looking already a lot nicer with the noise, but you can do whatever you want. You can add as many of these different effectors as you want, set up some different shaders, different noise types. As long as you make sure that the hierarchy of effectors in your matrix is set up correctly, then you shouldn't have any problems. And I'd probably name the effectors to be safe if you need to come back and edit anything later on, but I've just kind of rushed through it for the tutorial. You see these long waves that we've got here, we could also just drive those to be a complete different color. So if we, this is where it would have helped to name these better, but I think it might have been this middle one. Okay, so let's turn this from off to field color, and then let's actually rename this effector just so we know. We'll do noise strips, and then we're gonna have to make sure the hierarchy is correct. So let's move noise strips to just before text mask. Now let's go back into noise strips, fields. Let's turn on the color, and you can see it's changed it to black and white, which isn't what we want. However, if we start messing around with the color in here to get the look we want, it might change actually how much is going up and down, because it's using the black and white values to determine how high or whether they should be moving at all. And you can see when I move these, it's affecting. So what we kind of need to do is make a copy of this noise that we've got set up, but then just change its color values. So let's go back in here, fields. We can hit this drop down, and we've actually got copy shader. So we'll hit that, and then we'll add in another shader field, drop that in here, set it to, what we could do is just turn this off, and make sure that one's off as well. We don't need that. But yeah, turn off this wave, so that means it won't be affecting like physically the cubes. So this could just be set to normal, and then we can hit this shader drop down and paste the shader, and then we can refresh, and now we can just pick the colors we want. So for the black value, we can make that blue that we had before, and then maybe set the secondary color, which is going to be the strips, to, well, whatever we want really. I could do a bit of a contrast like I've done before, go for like an orange, something like this. Let me go back into my camera, and this still isn't going to do anything because I need to turn the color off for the bottom one and turn it on for this one. Refresh, and now you can see, yeah. So this can kind of help exaggerate those lines that we got set up, and make sure the wave is still on for the text, because otherwise we are going to get the waves going through the text, but that's not what I wanted. So I'm not quite sure on the orange, but maybe you could just go white. Refresh that. Yeah, that looks pretty cool, to be fair. I quite like this. Maybe upping the global scale. Now that's the thing we've got to remember. If we change any values inside these two noise textures, these two noise shader fields that we've got here, we're going to need to update it in the other one if we want them to look the same. So let's say I wanted the global scale to go a little bit even higher. Maybe let's just go 4,000. Now, when I refresh, you can see these are now kind of like out of sync. Like we've got the waves coming up here, but they're not white. So I just need to remember I've done 4,000 there. Let's do the same in this one. Change this to 4,000. I'm not sure if there's a way that you can just link them, but as far as I know, this is the way to do it. But yeah, I'm quite liking this. And also, if I was to animate this, yeah, they're all going to move nicely along. So yeah, I had an issue here where I think I must have turned on the color for the text mask. So just make sure that's off and refresh that. So now the effect's still going to work as normal. So yeah, like got our waves moving up, which is nice. And our text masks out and comes back in. But yeah, that's really the effect setup. there's not much more to it. It's kind of just adding layers and layers of different like effects going on. So I did 2 in this video, or I guess 3 if you include this spherical field one. But when I did the initial like kind of just pop-up ones and then the waves, like the more, maybe not too many, you don't want to overdo it, but you can just add different layers of different noise types and different animations going on, and it creates a really cool like digital feel to it. So yeah, just have fun experimenting, mess around and see what you come up with. But that's really it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.